But first, let's take a minute and look at how Peter Dutton has succeeded in taking strong principled Conservative positions that speak to the Australian electorate. And that's got the Albanese government rattled, and it shows. Several poor poll results and a drubbing in the NT election last weekend has the Labor government lashing out in an increasingly nasty fashion. You see, Labor has decided that the best way to deal with the serious issues afflicting the country, from cost of living crisis to the Gaza visa furor to suicidally stupid energy policies saddling households and businesses with crippling bills, well, the best way to deal with that is to attack Peter Dutton. It's usually opposition leaders who are accused of being overly negative and in permanent attack mode, but Labor has flipped the playbook and is targeting Dutton as if he's the Prime Minister. Treasurer Jim Chalmers' attack against Dutton was particularly shrill. That happened earlier this week, and he launched into this diatribe.
Leadership which is destructive and divisive is not really leadership at all. And that brings me to Peter Dutton. He is the most divisive leader of a major political party in Australia's modern history. And not by accident, but by choice. It's the only plank in his political platform. He divides deliberately, almost pathologically. And this is worse than disappointing, it's dangerous. His divisiveness should be disqualifying.
Call Peter Dutton dangerous and the most divisive leader in modern Australia is not just hyperbole, but stinks of desperation and delusion. Polls show that despite the consistently harsh treatment Dutton receives from the bulk of the mainstream media, he is cutting through on consequential issues from the economy to national security and also cultural issues. And it's a little bit rich for Jim Chalmers or anyone on the left to call the Liberal leader divisive when it was Labor who tried to enshrine racial division into the Australian Constitution. Far from being the sensible centrists they claimed to be before the election, the Albanese government has proven to be radically left and willing to back reckless, irrational policies. But their media mates can always be relied upon to back the cause and excuse the increasingly nasty attacks against Dutton. Just listen to this take from the ABC's Laura Tingle. She wrote, Chalmers' outburst reflected a growing frustration within the government that Dutton is hogging most of the airtime with populist appeals to people's concerns about migration and national security, which don't necessarily make any policy sense. Say what now? The chief political correspondent, Tingle, thinks having a sensible energy and population policy and perhaps, I don't know, not allowing thousands of people into the country who may have sympathies to Hamas is just a populist appeal that makes no policy sense? If the Albanese government keeps listening to their far-left media mates, they'll be voted out at the next election, but not before inflicting enormous damage on the country. And before we wrap this up, can we just take a moment and marvel at just how putrid, utterly putrid, the US media has become in their desperation to damage Donald Trump? They have sunk to new lows this week, attacking Trump for taking videos and posing for photos with Gold Star families at Arlington National Cemetery. They, in effect, attacked grieving families here in their attempt to smear Trump. The facts are that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were not at Arlington National Cemetery to honour the 13 service members who were killed that botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. Biden was at the beach. Kamala had no public events and she didn't show up. Now, they failed to reach out to these families, but Trump has been there and he was there to honour the fallen servicemen and women.
Present! Out!
But that saw the media go into full attack mode because President Trump posed for pictures with the Gold Star families, and that apparently politicised Arlington National Cemetery, which has, by the way, featured in a number of Biden-Harris videos and campaigns. So let's have a look at a little bit of the media meltdown.
Which is being criticized for bringing politics into the hallowed ground of Arlington, specifically for video and photographs of the former president laying a wreath in honor of service members killed in Afghanistan and posing with family members among the headstones, giving a thumbs up.
Anniversary of the death of some American service members in Afghanistan as part of the evacuation effort there 3 years ago. They're trying to make that a major problem for the Biden-Harris administration in the context of this campaign. But I know a lot of military veterans were very uncomfortable with the idea that Trump was there at all, and that, you know, he even at one point posed for a photograph with family members with a big smile and thumbs up on their face. Now, we should note some of the family members were doing the same, but that's their right. Donald Trump, it seemingly very strange that he would do the same.
I looked at the same pictures that you're alluding to now and describing at Arlington, taken with the former president. And the thought rolled immediately through my mind, is nothing sacred?
Is nothing sacred indeed, you contemptible dirtbags. Just how much lower will you stoop in trying to prop up Kamala Harris? The disgusting antics of the media on what should have been a solemn occasion. So Gold Star families, grieving families, having to address the issue and correct the record. Here is a mother having to defend how she grieved for her son, Taylor, and why the families wanted Trump there.
Kelly Barnett invited the former president to Arlington. Her son, Marine Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, died at Abbey Gate. What would you say to people who may be pro-Trump, anti-Trump, whatever their politics might be, who just feel like that's not a place for politicians or for politics?
I would have to say, are you in my shoes? I invited him. My son was murdered under the Biden-Harris administration.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. You don't hate the leftist media enough. You think you do, but trust me, you don't.